Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NW Sportscast. Today, we have breaking news coming out of Seattle. I cannot believe this has actually happened, and I have very mixed feelings about this. But the Seattle Seahawks just announced, or I guess they didn't announce it. Adam Schefter from ESPN just announced it. The Seattle Seahawks are not going to bring back Pete Carroll as head coach next season. Pete Carroll, 14 years, winningest head coach in Seahawks history, will no longer be the head coach. Now, he is still the president of football operations. And from what I've heard, he's going to stick around potentially as a team advisor. It's not a firing. He hasn't been fired. And it's very amicable, right? According to CBS, he is not, according to CBS, he has not been fired. They are parting ways as head coach. Jody Allen has thanked him. This is official. This is happening. Carroll said 2 days ago he's going to be the head coach of this team. He said he intends to be, he wants to be. Apparently that's not happening, and I wonder if maybe he had different ideas than what Jody Allen wanted. And you know what? Kudos to Jody Allen for taking this big step, because hanging on to the past is not what's going to get you wins in the future, right? And Pete Carroll, for everything that he has done for this team as head coach, for everything, all the wins, the Super Bowl, the playoff appearances, the past 5 to 7 years have been a struggle, even when we were winning games with Russ, right? 8 years, that's how long it's been since our defense was top 10 in the league. And Pete Carroll is meant to be a defensive coach. He's always said he wants to win with defense. He wants to win with the run game. And so the defense hasn't been good, hasn't been top 10 in either yards or points since 2016. And the run game that he has always talked about, how much he loves the run game, again, hasn't been top 10 in rushing yards since Chris Carson in 2019. So 4 years of not being good at running the ball, 7 years of not playing good defense. That's what he has made his entire mindset of how to win football games, and that hasn't been happening. So it makes sense that, the two things that he has always preached about have been our two weakest links. So it kind of makes sense why we might want to go in a different direction here. I am very glad he's staying with the organization. I'm glad that we're not firing him. I don't think he deserved that. I hope that he was able to kind of have a say in this, because I do think it would be a little bit sad if he went out on bad terms, if he went out in an ugly ending, because I don't think he deserves that. He didn't ask for Russell Wilson to force his way out. He didn't ask for the Legion of Boom to go down the way that it did, which was to basically go down in flames. He didn't ask for, the entire offensive line this season to get injured and just play so poorly. Pete tried his best, and he has been trying his best. He's a really good motivator. That's always been his strong suit. So I hope he sticks around as an advisor. I hope he remains as president of football operations, similar to the way that, a lot of guys in baseball will do this, where they'll step down as manager, they'll step down as general manager, they'll step down, and then they'll take over as kind of the president of operations. So I hope Pete Carroll will still do that. I hope that he still comes to the games. I hope he still shows up on the sidelines. He can motivate the guys. He can give them pregame speeches. That kind of stuff is what he is really, really good at. He's really good at being a player's coach, but as far as being an actual coach and knowing the schemes and being able to win consistently football games, Pete Carroll has been struggling lately. And you see, I understand we had a winning season this year. I understand we had a winning season last year, but winning season isn't enough when you're not winning playoff games, especially not in the NFL, and especially not when you're the Seattle Seahawks, who we've built an organization in the past 15 years where mediocrity is not what the Seahawks do. We're not the Panthers. We're not the Bears. We are not a small market team who is going to celebrate every time we win 8 or 9 games. Like the Falcons, they win 9 games, they're happy. The Panthers win 9 games, they're ecstatic. Seattle, that's not what we do here. We are a large market. We are one of the 20 biggest cities in the country. We are one of the 10 largest sports markets in the country. So this is not a city where, and especially with the way the Mariners are going, the way that, we still don't have a basketball team, the Kraken are just still finding their footing. The Seattle Seahawks, they are the premier professional sports team in the Northwest, and that includes Washington, Oregon, Idaho. That is who they all are rooting for. We have one of the largest, most dedicated fan bases in the NFL. So to pretend like 9-8 is fine, yeah, 9-8 is fine for some teams, but it's not fine for the Seahawks. And so, 9-8 back-to-back seasons. The year before that, they were 7-10, I believe. So, the past 3 years combined, he has one fewer win than loss. And he has one playoff appearance, and we lost that game pretty badly. Hasn't been able to beat the 49ers since Russell Wilson left. That also plays into it, When you're clearly, the Seahawks they're a good team. I'm not saying they're a bad team. But, pretty clearly right now, the Seahawks are the third best team in their division, and Pete Carroll, he is probably the third best coach in the division. And so, again, that plays a role, In some divisions, Pete Carroll's the best head coach. If he was in the NFC South, he's the best head coach in the NFC South. But he's not in the NFC South. He's in the NFC West, where he has to coach against McVay, Shanahan, and so far, he hasn't proved that he can consistently beat either one of those guys. So that does play a role here. You know what I mean? It would be an entirely different conversation if he's in a division where his biggest competition is the Buccaneers, but he's not. And that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. That's just how it works out for him. Is this a little bit unfair that we have to play in such a tough division? Maybe it is, but again, the context here matters, and that is part of it. So yeah, I'm excited for the future. I've kind of been pretty critical of Pete Carroll in the past few seasons. Again, like I said, I did not want him to get fired. I wanted him to kind of do this, amicable parting ways, stay with the organization, keep him around as kind of a chief football operations guy, but you need to find a new head coach. Personally, I really like Ben Johnson. I also think maybe it's worth looking into Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel kind of, though, is a little similar to Pete Carroll, so that is something to pay attention to. Do we want to have, Pete Carroll Part 2? I'm not sure if we do, but I would be very interested in the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. The Bills also have a really nice young offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. Maybe go in that direction. But I do think that we should look to offense, especially if the plan is to stick with Geno or if the plan is to draft a quarterback, which either one of those, I'm really interested to see if this means we're drafting a quarterback or if this means we're sticking with Geno. I think this probably means we're going to draft a quarterback, get a new head coach, hopefully an offensive guy, give him his rookie quarterback, and that's going to be exciting. And you know what? If it fails, it fails, right? The Bears have tried this for many years. It failed, It's failed for them so many times. It's failed for the Panthers. It has failed for teams. But I like that we're trying, because if it pays off, it could be amazing, right? If it pays off, we could turn our franchise around and go from mediocre, which is what we've been for the past 3 years, to being really excellent again. And I want the Seahawks to be excellent again, and I'm glad that they are trying to do that. I'm very happy that they are trying to make changes. Hopefully this also means we're clearing out Clint Hurt. I'm sure it does. I'm sure that's what this means. There's almost no way we're keeping Clint Hurt, but getting rid of Pete. So yeah, I'm A-okay with this. I'm happy that we didn't fire him. I'm happy that it sounds at least like it's a mutual agreement. Jody Allen was very respectful in her message. And yeah, that's what it's going to be. Seattle's not going to have Pete Carroll next year. It's going to be a new head coach. We're going to have all the content for you on the NW Sportscast. Drew and I will be at it with another podcast tonight. We'll kind of go at it, detail this a little bit more for you guys, give you guys all of the updates, all the details as the Seahawks are now going through a coaching search, potentially a quarterback search, probably some coordinator searches as well. Fun times as always. And we're going to be your number one source of news to hear all of that. If you want to hear our opinions, if you want to hear just the news, all of that we'll be able to talk about here on the NW Sportscast, the Northwest Sportscast, which is your home for all the coverage you need of Seattle sports. Also, no ads. That's pretty nice. So if you guys like what you see here, if you want to follow the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below. Hit the like video. I'm kind of disheveled today. I did not expect this to happen, so I just got back from class. That's why, if you look, I didn't have time to get my Seahawks gear on. Didn't have time to set up in my regular setup, but it is what it is. The news goes faster than I do, And this is breaking news, so we want to get at you as fast as you can. Thank you all for watching. This is the NW Sportscast. Go Seahawks.